All right, welcome everybody. Hey, it's Monday, January 26th, 2026. It's the Monday after Snowmageddon in the country weekend. I got about like 12, 13 inches or so here. Not terrible. Light snow, better than ice for some of you out there. So hopefully everybody's doing well, safe, all your pipes are intact. And We'll see what happens. I don't know where all this global warming is, but it ain't here. So, all right, let's get started and jump into it. We got some charts, we got some trades, we got a bunch of things to do today. Lots of good things happening out there. So, we all survived the potential Canadian 100% tariffs on the China trade deal. We've survived the Greenland tariff situation so far. We are surviving the Venezuelan issue, which again nobody even talks about. Um, yeah, 12 to 13 inches of snow, not a big deal. Okay, two runs with my snowblower done. Now there are some 6 foot drifts out there, and I can barely see my mailbox. But anyway, let's keep let's keep going. I am up north. I am in Cleveland, and it's nice, pretty looking white day outside. All right, so let's jump in. Let me share charts with you. Get off the screen as well. All right. All right. Let's get going. We'll start with ESE mini futures here. Looking at the charts, bullish, right? Eight's above the 21, stocks above the 21. Stock's been above the 21 for the last 3 sessions, including today. You can see that we were down overnight, tagged the 50-day moving exponential moving average, and bounced right off of that, which is again another reason don't watch futures overnight and just trade what you see during the day. All right. Day sessions where you're going to get the most liquidity. That's where things are going to get reevaluated. Don't get too panicky on what is happening in the after hours. Anyway, except for the PSAR, which the PSAR sitting here, right about 69.90. We're at 69.83. We're 7 points away from potentially running into uh, the PSAR and flipping that to bullish. You got RSI rising from these not oversold, but from these lower levels of the 39s all the way back now up to 55, 56 today. It's all bullish. Things are bullish. Things look good. There's really no reason to get all worried. The one thing I'm looking at here is the blue line at the very bottom is the ADX line. That gives you a little bit of a momentum indicator. And that's only at 16. That's not a real strong trend that we're in. And does it look like a strong trend? No, it's this sideways movement. We've already been to this same spot, a couple times before. So this is about the third time revisiting these areas. We had a previous high here. And that previous high was a lower RSI reading than the previous high, but not by much, but a little bit. This time, if we get back up to here to new highs, I mean, RSI is not giving you any overbought levels or really confirming this uptrend. Also, this is a bit of a rising wedge pattern here, which is a bearish pattern overall. It means uh, we're seeing some deeper lows, even though we're recovering, and the highs are kind of incremental, which means you could be running out of steam. But we're bullish, and I think you want to trade as if we were bullish. We're really a little bit neutral in here as well. The 8 and the 21 are like right on top of each other. Could go either way anytime. The 50 is right here. So any kind of bullish to neutral trades, I think, are excellent trades if we're looking at the regime. We're definitely bullish. So putting on bearish trades here makes no sense because there's no signs of bearishness. Even if we had closed down or opened down at this 50, okay, that would have still not been a bearish indicator. It would be really a neutral indicator. You got a bearish PSAR, but you got a bullish RSI, 8 above the 21, stock below the 21. So kind of two to the good, two to the bearish, which means Uh, overall, it'd be more of a neutral trade. So you're teetering between bullishness and bearishness here, but either way, there's just no reason to be putting bearish trades on. I think just good neutral trades look like a good idea. So that being said, we're going to put on some more neutral type trading strategies, which is either strangles, at the money 112s, Jade Lizards, things like that are all good for the ES. So I think this is what I would be looking at uh, if I'm trading it. All right, there's enough. But if this trend line down here breaks, then that would be a break of this bullish rising wedge. That's not a good thing. Okay, it's really a bearish wedge. So rising wedge has really more of a bearish tone. If this breaks though, then we start looking at support and other things down here. But right now, not too worried. And you can see this little green line underneath. That's the super trend as well. I don't use that a ton, but it's a nice little confirming factor that we've just been in this bullish super trend as well. So again, no reason to get too concerned about things. All right, let's take a look at oil. What's oil doing? Well, oil's, had this nice little run up, but it's only run up right to the trend line, still below the 200 day. It's still overall, bearish longer term, a little bit more bullish recently. You can see, this nice little bit of higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Now we're at this, we have not hit a new higher high. What does that mean for oil? And to me, I still think oil is just a really good neutral trade. So what's a good neutral strategy for you? I think, an at the money 112, a 112 is even somewhat of a neutral strategy to bear it to bullish. So I think neutral to bullish 112s set up great on oil. And we just added a new one on Friday. We added that at the money 113 on oil, which is up 10% since Friday. We'll take that. We've got another standard 112 on, and then we also have a strangle on, which is down a little bit. So the strangle's down, but nothing to be too overly concerned with here. I think, this red line too is a bit of a resistance level. We haven't really, we weren't able to break it the last time and hold it. We failed at it again today. We'll just keep watching this thing, but this red line here is a bit of a resistance level that until we break that and the 21 and then use those as a support level, I wouldn't get too excited here. I would just keep trading your neutral strategies on oil, right? So bullish to, neutral to slightly bullish strategies. All right, gold, ridiculous, parabolic. I made some comments this morning about silver. I mean, this is craziness. Gold craziness. These things are overbought. Okay, again, they can stay overbought, but these are pretty doggone overbought. And if you, like I said this morning in the chat, if you're in it, congrats. I mean, we're in it in a couple different ways. We've got poor man covered calls. We've got income poor man covered calls. Yes, we're capping some of this upside, but you know what? I'll take it because I was only expecting like what we're seeing back here. I was not expecting this parabolic move, so we'll take it, right? So we'll take it either way. I was just expecting an up move. I expected us just to drift higher to 5,000. I didn't expect us to get there in days. So I'm still happy with the trades I made. I mean, we picked the right underlying, and even though we're writing covered calls against it that are kind of continuing to go in the money, the underlying asset just keeps rocketing higher, and that's great for us. So gold to me is a no trade. Okay? There's nothing I would be putting on in gold here. That's just me. You do what's right for you. I can't see a trade that would make sense for me. Okay? I wouldn't be doing anything, Dimitri. Ratio spread, I get it, but this thing could actually tank pretty good as well. I think I would be a little bit more cautious. I would love to see this again, the pullbacks to the 21, and that's your opportunity to get back in. I think they're getting overextended. I think they'll stay there for a little bit. I think we're going to climb a little bit higher. But watch this, watch the RSI here. It's overbought, which no big deal, but it does dip below that. So when it gets overbought, it does have a pullback and then we rise back up. It's overbought. It can stay there like we've seen here for a month or two, but I would still expect that we're going to see a pullback in gold at some point in time. If you're in gold and or silver, and then I entered palladium last week, so that was great timing on palladium. We have now rocketed up significantly since that call because this thing has just not been going the same direction. So palladium's up a nice 13% in 2 days. We'll take that, right? Uh, but this one, palladium's not you know, been doing the same things. It's still not a bad trade, okay? But it's been really languishing for a while, not a cup and handle, but pretty good base. Ran up and then broke this here. Just a trade. I just want to be in it for a bit, and it's not as overdone yet as the other two are. That being said, take a quick look at Ethereum here. Bitcoin's just Bitcoin and Ethereum just not doing well. Okay, so this is a bit of a symmetrical wedge. We're breaking to the downside, even though we've recovered off of our lows. I think we could potentially be going a bit lower on these things. I would actually turn this bottom one into more of a support level. And I would be starting to watch some support levels on this thing. I think we go higher. I think we will end up higher this year. Okay, but I think we've got to make some gains at some point here. But I'm not big on it at this point yet. Just let this thing bounce around, find support, bounce, find support, bounce. It might head a little bit lower. I think Bitcoin also, um, which is off these lows today. I think Bitcoin as well. I think you just right now just leave it alone and wait. It's going to get moving. Okay? I think your patience will be rewarded here, and on these lows, I think if we get back down to this 84 level, I don't really I'm not really considering the 80 or 75s, but I think if you get back down to this 84-ish level here, I think there's another good opportunity to get in, which would be the 38.2 fib of the overall Bitcoin uptrend. So anyway, there's some things there to take a look at. Let's keep moving quickly. Bonds remains in this downtrend channel. Oh, a bunch of things here. So bonds remains in a downtrending channel. We're getting towards the top of that channel here as well. I think it's right at the 8, right at the 50, right at the midpoint of the RSI. You've got really no ADX directional strength here on this. We're above the 8, or above the 8 and the 21, but the 8's below the 21. You got a bearish PSAR, but RSI, it's just dead flat. Just a perfect strangle. I think you just keep selling strangles um, on bonds. Uh, just keep, there's just no reason not to sell it. And it's just going to be the trade that just keeps on paying off. Thoughts on copper? I don't even track copper anymore, but we can, oops. Uh, what did I do here? I don't know the best way to track it. Let's just take a look at, we can take a look at it a couple different ways. Okay. This is one way, at least, to take a look at copper. Um, in here, I mean, it looks decent. I mean, it has its nice pullbacks uh, as well. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I'd take a look at it. I don't know why it didn't come up on here when didn't I, or did I put HC or HG, right? I don't know. I'm not pulling up copper on here. Why am I not getting copper? Oh, because I'm used to the tasty trade. I'm putting the slash in front of it. Anyway, same chart as I just pulled up. But on copper here, it's not bad. Okay, it's had a nice pullback to the 21, and now it's getting going again. It's had a monster run. I guess it's giving you an entry point here. If you wanted to try to trade something on it, certainly not a strangle. You would want to be bullish on this. But yeah, thanks. Uh, I don't know. It's not a bad spot. I don't really. I get gold and I get silver a bit, but I don't know if I get the copper upside. Yeah, if you want to lump all metals and commodities together, then yeah, maybe. But it's not a bad spot. So if you entered here in the last week off the bounce off the eight, great opportunity, I think, to get back in. Not a strong uptrend, but it's decent. I don't know. I'd be cautious. That's just me on this one. Yeah. Okay. Everybody telling me up the slash. I thought I had it, but I'm so used to having to put the slash in when I'm trading. All right. Uh, the Palladium trade is in the Lazy Trader account. We can take a look at that when we look at the accounts in a few minutes. Am I going to roll my deep into money call and gold? I don't know. Haven't looked, Wendy, but we will absolutely look at that shortly here. Let's get into a few stocks. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Good questions. All right, we'll look at both of those. Amazon here, we're heading into earnings. I'm going to move over here a little bit. We're heading into earnings. There's not much I would be doing. It's a nice looking chart on Amazon. If I didn't have earnings, I'd be considering doing something on this, especially this pullback to the 50. This was a great candle back here. I really like that opportunity. If you have a longer term view, then I think this is uh, not a bad area here. If you've got the shorter term trading view, then maybe hold off until earnings and see what happens. I would expect Amazon earnings should be decent, but you never know what's going to happen. But we're really getting in this tight range. But I like it. I just maybe not yet with earnings. Nvidia, we have earnings is a bit further out, so I like Nvidia here. It's very neutral. I think Nvidia sets up really well for a strangle opportunity as long as you expire before earnings. It's bullish for the most part, but pretty neutral, which is why I opened up a longer term put because I am bullish longer term. This white or this up longer term trend line, we're just pounding off of it. Uh, so I like it longer term. I will manage my delta with some calls on those puts, keeping it pretty delta neutral, making some money while we wait. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Tesla here, a little bit bearish, heading into earnings. Nothing to say here. It keeps hitting this trend line. This trend line is very important. Okay, if we can't hold this, maybe we have some problems. Oops. So let's keep an eye on it. Okay, and then we have some support down below here, that has held up a few times. I don't know, with earnings, I have nothing to do. Meta just continues to pound away here. This looks like a bit of a double bottom on Meta. I think this gap is the next order of business. Question is, are earnings going to derail this sudden drive higher? We're still below the 200, even though the 200 is now starting to tick up. So we do have to get through the 200. The 50 is still down here. Things look better on Meta, but I wouldn't be jumping in here. If you're in, I think, I'm staying here, staying the course. We keep an eye on it. Apple, nice move today. Earnings coming up. I wouldn't do anything. You're in a downtrend, a pretty obvious downtrend. A nice bounce off the 38.2 fib. So this is not a bad level here. I'd be holding off. Google got earnings coming up on Google. I think we're a little overdone. We're holding this trend line overall here. We'll keep moving it out where that we've touched on it one, two, three, four times on this trend line. It's in good shape. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Google. You got earnings. I can't really touch it with earnings. Microsoft, nice bounce. This might be a, a good spot for entry on Microsoft. Okay, so this might be a good entry point and any pullback here. We got earnings coming up, so I think you got to be careful. But maybe Microsoft finally starting to put in a base. Palantir just struggling, doesn't look great, but I think below this support at 150-ish here, it's not a bad opportunity. I took one on this. We're going to look at that trade later. I sold the 80. Okay, we're at 168. I sold the 80 put. Okay, and if we continue to work sideways, we're going to be in great shape. If we start to fall, I'll be selling calls against it. So we've got a plan either way. All right, Hood, same type of a scenario here. You may be getting close to a double bottom on this. You're very close to the 200-day moving average. So you get some support. You got the 200-day moving average, all right in this area here. Earnings are coming up, but you have a little bit of time on earnings. I think this thing struggles until Bitcoin. I think this is Hood and uh, Webull, both of these, but I think these are very Bitcoin dependent, and I think these stocks take off more when Bitcoin is strong. I've been saying that over and over. I don't think this is a bad entry spot on Hood. I'd really consider looking at it here. It's not going to move until Bitcoin moves. All right. So there's your Hood. I don't think it's bad. I could take a flyer on it, even though earnings are coming up by selling again when he's making put trades. I'll talk more about that later. All right, Broadcom. We don't have to worry about earnings, anytime soon. We did break this support level here on Friday. That did not look good. We have a nice rebound back to it today. Okay, but we got to get back above this support line. I love this company. It's one of the greatest companies on planet Earth. This is a pretty nice pullback. I think for us selling, at the money, in the money calls on this thing has been a great opportunity here while this thing has sold off. And now I think uh, it could potentially be getting rolling again. We've got this, oops, I don't know why I did that. We've got this downtrend to break. We've got to show some consolidation, but you are very close to the 200-day moving average. I think you could be selling around this 200-day and selling puts on this and maybe have a decent opportunity to get in. So again, I think there are some trades out there that you don't get the opportunity on Hood and Broadcom and Palantir and Meta, which were still under. Um, I think that's about it on those. But those companies are all very close to their 200-day moving average, and I just think that's an opportunity when you get down close to that to be selling some potential puts. I think most of the time I would be willing to own these things at or slightly below the 200-day moving average. Good companies. All right, let's keep going. SoFi. This has just been leaking oil. It's not doing much of anything. SoFi does not look real healthy in here, but this is SoFi. I mean, it's done this before and then going on a run. You're just in this sideways consolidation mode. For us here, I think as an income poor man covered call, this is a tough trade. Income poor man covered call, you would prefer something moving, higher or lower. Sideways ups and downs isn't a great thing. I'm not sure I want to stick around in SoFi with the income poor man covered call if this is the way it's going to act. Okay, so I might consider that at some point this thing might just have to be shed. Now we're only down a fraction, so we're basically break even on this trade in 42 days. So we haven't been in it that long. I'm fine with where we are on SoFi, but you got earnings coming up. Let's see what happens after earnings. I would want to see a trend getting started on this one. Don't love it here though. But if you're selling something on SoFi, man, you're right at this anchored V, you're right at this VWAP, which held up great back here. You're close to the 200 day. We're going to get close to this support right around 25. It's not a bad spot under 25. It's held that line very, very well. Let's see what happens after earnings on SoFi. UNH looks really great. Okay, I just love this company. Earnings are here. We've got earnings tomorrow after the bell. Let's see how that does. We've had a nice bounce move here. We do have a series of higher highs and higher lows off of this. Broke the 200 day. The 50 just crossed the 200 day. So you have a golden cross, okay, here, which is a great sign. You've got the 8 above the 21, which crossed back here. I think it's all systems go for UNH. I think that this resistance is the first target, and then I think we've got more upside to come. I really think that this gap here is getting filled, and I think we're heading into that gap this year. I cannot be, okay, this is again one man's opinion, so what's my opinion worth is nothing, okay? But my opinion is I'd stay close to this stock. It's my favorite one. I'm irresponsibly long in all of my accounts, UNH. Okay, irresponsibly. Okay. If I had to pick one stock and get rid of everything I own, it would be UNH. That said, let's keep moving on. That's not, me telling you go buy it and do whatever. Okay, but that's what I'm doing on this. ARM is another interesting one. This could be the low being close to being in. This is like really, really good company that has really just been beaten up. But the eight's making some gains towards the 21. We're still below the 200. We're still below the 50. And I wouldn't be betting your children's mortgage or something like that, or children's mortgage, your child's education, or your home mortgage, either one. I wouldn't be betting those on it here, but I do like ARM down in this area. It's not a bad play. All right, AMD, I don't like it here. A little bit farther up. That's not my favorite company. I'm not a Lisa Su fan, so it is what it is. I'm not an AMD guy. Let's go to Vert. I love Vertiv in here. It looks to be breaking out of this triangle that it was in. I think it could come back down, touch off of this trend line, and move its way higher. Eight's above the 21, stock's above the 21, decent RSI. It doesn't have a lot of momentum on this move, according to the ADX yet here. So it just moves sideways. But Vertiv, and I posted this yesterday in the Discord. So if you looked at the trade ideas, I did give you guys a trade idea on Vertiv yesterday, and we talked about a 112 trade at 12 days out. I think today is even a better setup. I like the trade on Vertiv. GE Vernova, I like this as well, right along with Vertiv. I like where we are here. You got earnings coming up, so I think you just got to be careful and just chill out for a bit on this. Vertiv, we can get that 112 in before earnings. GE, I just like it here. I think this thing looks really, really, really good. CoreWeave taken off, having a really big day today, up 10% on the session. This thing looks good. To go. Nice, it struggled for a bit, came down, put in a nice base, maybe a double bottom even in here, and then off it goes. Okay. Earnings are coming up, not for a little bit, so keep that in mind. Taiwan Semiconductor, I think this pullback looks really good for it. We're past earnings, so we really have the all clear on this one. I think maybe it'll wait for an NVIDIA a little, but overall, I like it here. A great company, maybe the best out there from a tech standpoint. Nobody can make chips. I mean, NVIDIA doesn't make their own. Taiwan Semiconductor makes them, so they can't make them without them. People are building foundries, but I don't think that's going to really eat into these guys much. What trades would I do on Taiwan Semiconductor? Well, it's in a bullish mode. It just pulled back to the 8. Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to take a look right now. If it pulled back a little bit more, I'd probably take a look at a naked put on this one. I don't know if a 112 would set up. And then if you are just, I don't know how you like to trade. If you want to take a look at a broken wing butterfly, a call broken wing butterfly, that also might be an opportunity uh, in here as a premium seller. I maybe would look at naked puts on this. We can take a look at those later. All right, Aklo, leaps. I don't know. Leaps, you got to give me a better entry point. Not at. I don't want to put. I don't want to buy leaps at all-time highs. Okay, I want to buy leaps on things like this and hood. When we're close to the 21, this is when I want to get into leaps. Is when I'm overdone. Okay, Aklo. Like, this is one that I would, this is a leap candidate for me. It's pulling back weak. I like this company. There's some support down here. I'd be selling below this support. And if we had to put in a, I don't know if we'll, let's see, come on, something like, so if we looked at this and put this on, you're now at the 618 retracement of this entire move. Okay, from down here, we could go back a little further, but I don't know that it's going to make much of a difference. Okay, but these lows back in last April, we could potentially, I guess, if you want to go back kind of the all-time lows back here, we could, I don't know where they are, but somewhere in that neighborhood. Right, we're very close to the 618. We were right at the 618 off of the April lows on this one, and I do like that opportunity. So I'm going to go back and redraw that one. All right, so we're right at the 618. This is where I want to be, if I'm trading and I want to get into something that I like. If you like Aklo here, good company. Uh, and right at the 618 fib of that overall move, this is a good leaps entry for me. Iron, I like this company as well. I think they're a good company. I want to be in these guys as well. My next entry point is going to have to be again some sort of more significant pullback to do leaps. If I want to do naked puts, yeah, give me a little bit more of a pullback. So leaps when I get closer to the 50, the 200. Naked puts when I'm closer to the 21 to 50 as how I would like to play things. Shop. We are right at the 200 day here. This is pretty interesting. I mean, you got earnings a little ways away. This is not a bad spot for shop if you like shop. All right. Let's go to App 11. Again, we're getting close to the 200. A bit of a bounce here. Oversold on the RSI. Maybe not a bad spot to add. And this is a pretty decent looking. Okay, support level here. So this could be a double bottom. This could be an entry point here. I would consider AppLovin. I do think this is a good company. I'd consider this here to sell some, again, those naked puts and kind of manage that position. All right, ONS, it's pulling back. Let's let it pull back. So let's let it pull back to one of these lines. It's either going to be this trend line, this support line, one of these, they're cross-secting right here. You got the 50-day here. Let's just give it some room. I wouldn't jump in on it. All right, ASTS, somebody asked about. Yeah, I like the company. I think it's great. Uh, we are a ways away uh, from earnings on it. It's overdone a little bit. I would wait for the pullback to the 21, and I think it's an opportunity there. ANET's taking off. It's bullish. I think you got to wait for pullback. Uh, Duro here, I like this company. It's really fussing with this resistance. It breaks it, it doesn't break it, it breaks it, it doesn't break it. It's going to break it at some point here, and this thing's going to take off. Honest, if you're in Baba, it had a great breakout of this descending wedge. So again, these wedges are really great opportunities. I love these things. And I think that's why you got to be cautious on the S&P with that rising wedge. So we wait to see if we can break. Baba's had a nice move. Grab, I added to it down at this support level here. So I added some grab in the Lazy Trader account. Gorilla as well. I did add to this on the bounce above here. I think you have entry points on this. It's a little bit more speculative for me. Hymns, I'm liking hymns down here. I think it's putting in a base. It's starting to get some momentum going. I'd love to see a little bit more. I'd like to see if it can get ahead of, this previous resist or support is now resistance. We got to break through this, get above the 8, and see what happens on it. So I'd be cautious. I did add to it. Lulu, not my favorite company. I don't really love it here. It's in no man's land. Mosaic kicking off, looks great. I'd wait for the pullback. Novo Nordisk, this is fantastic. Next to UNH, it's probably my second favorite stock to own right now. We've got in it. This thing is rocking and rolling since we got into it here on these pullbacks. I think this gap's getting filled. At the rate we're going, we could see this gap filled in the next 2 weeks. On this, we got earnings coming up. I think we're going to be in good shape. That the pill is an awesome opportunity here. If you like Ozempic, or if you're into it, or you're studying it, or whatever, you want to give yourself a shot every day. Not do what do what you got to do. But the fact that you can take a pill, and Novo Nordisk has a pill, now there's going to be other pills coming out. I think Moderna or somebody else has a pill coming out as well. But I think the pill form of that GLP-1 stuff is a game changer, and this thing goes higher. All right, Oscar, I think this thing is going to sit here and it's going to wait to see if we get either some resolution on the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which I wouldn't bet my house on that, but it looks okay. I think they're shifting. Oscar is one of the fastest growing insurance companies in the country right now, and I think it's an opportunity to get in down here. PayPal, no matter what it does, it can't get out of its own way. It could have good news every single day of the week and never go up. It's got a serious problem. SE is one of my trades for the week. I gave this to you guys in the charts and trade ideas yesterday, so I posted this chart. Looks like a potential double bottom might be in here. This thing is bouncing off this double bottom. I think this is a great opportunity to get long on SE. I talked about a naked put yesterday, but I would also consider leaps in this thing. We are a ways away from earnings, so we've got no worries there. I like where SE is right now from a leap standpoint. Okay, let's keep going. Sprouts, Farmers Market, there's nothing. I don't even know why I'm tracking this one. I'll probably kill that. All right. Zeta Global Holdings is making some nice recoveries here. This thing looks pretty decent. Okay. I like the pullback to the 50. I think you're getting an opportunity to get into Zeta here. I think it's a good possibility. And then ZVRA, so Zevra Therapeutics here. Just a nice steady break of this downtrend line. You can take that off. Okay. We've got a longer term uptrend line that we keep bouncing off of. We've got some overhead resistance that we'll keep an eye on. We're trying to hold the 50. If the 50 becomes support, which it has been for the last 2 weeks, then we'll take a look to take out the 200-day, which could be a big deal on ZVRA. All right. That being said, we've identified a bunch of opportunities out there, and then Bitcoin. Okay, it's trying to hold on here for dear life. It doesn't look great. I'm not overly excited about anything crypto right now, but I will be. So I'm holding my crypto stuff. I'm not adding a ton to it. Strategy is holding on for dear life here. Earnings don't mean squat because this company doesn't really have earnings. It's a matter of what they say, what they're doing. Is that going to stir the pot a bit on strategy? I did add a naked put. the other day, down all the way at the 110 level down here. Uh, I I think it's going to be very interesting down at 110. So that put about 90 days out. I'll manage that put here, which we'll talk about in a second. I'll manage that put with calls. All right. That being said, I think that's enough. On here, crowd. Oh, someone's always asking me about crowd. This is a descending wedge here. Okay, so the descending wedges are essentially a bullish formation. Is the bottom in? I don't know, but it looks pretty interesting in here right now. You're sitting right on this line. Okay, the breakout not necessarily here yet, but could be the bottom. RSI looks good, definitely improving. MACD has been trending up. The trend is decent, but not super strong. You're about to flip the PSAR to bullish today. You're breaking above the 21 day, but you got to break the 200 here. The 50 is right above it. The concern would be if we don't break it soon and keep trading sideways, a death cross is potentially imminent. But if we can break in and move up, I mean, this is not a bad idea if you like CrowdStrike. It's not my main thing, but I think if we break this falling wedge here, this thing takes off. So there you go. Maybe. All right. That being said, let's jump in now to the trading accounts and take a quick look. That was a lot. All right. The Income Navigator account here. Oil. All right, so we are in oil two different ways. We've got a standard 112 here, fines up 74%, nothing to do there. We added a new ATM113 here. I did that just to give myself a little smaller size trap, but still bullish to the upside. So a fairly neutral trade. I mean, this thing is really only a delta of 6. So very neutral trade with a slightly bullish tint to it, and it's doing great today. Right, so it's only been on 3 days. We're up 10%. We'll take that. This Strangle is down, so the Strangle's struggling a bit. Strangle's struggling a little bit because the IV rank is high, so it's moved up on the IV rank. In fact, how has that been going? Looking at the IV really quickly, here's what that looks like. Here's the IV on oil. So it is now at the highest it's been since all the way back here in like June when it skyrocketed a bit. So volatility in oil is very elevated. And because I was talking about it, us being neutral in it, I think adding a strangle here is a really great idea. Okay, so I think adding a strangle in oil would be a really good idea. Let's get back. Okay, so you get an IVR of 48 and a neutral looking trade. I mean, we're down on ours, okay, because I entered, 34 days ago. So when I entered a month ago on this thing, it was a whole different position here. The IVR was only around, or the crude oil volatility was maybe 40% lower than where it is now. So with crude oil volatility rising, I think the strangle here is the play on oil. That's what I'd be looking at. All right, on our ES trades, we're up nicely on ES today. Okay, we need to put on something. We do have a 112 naked put here and another one here. They're both up nicely. We closed our other one out the other day. We're still sitting on just a boatload of put debit spreads, and then our 120-day 6 delta naked puts up 23%, which is exactly where we want it to be. These take 42 days to hit, and we're halfway there right now. All right, so that being said, it's time for me to put on a new campaign 112C trade today. As I've mentioned, I'm going to change things up a little bit. Okay. If I was putting on my normal 112C trade today, I'd go out about 150 days, 120 days, somewhere in that. I think this 143 would be good. I would put on something about 100 wide. That's around 8, $9. So that's going to be this trade here. Yeah, Steve, thanks for posting it. Yeah, USO, exactly, if you want to trade oil. All right, so this is where I would be putting on um, my put debit spread. Then I would go to 60 days here, and I would be selling around the 7-ish delta, something like that, around something around 220, 21, $22 is usually what I like to get. Okay, so if I did the 112C, this would be essentially that trade. All right, so here's what we would be looking at on this trade. All right, so we'd have the 6175, 6075 put debit spread, and then the 6100 put. It doesn't look, it looks funky on here. I get it. And then for me, uh, I would be doing a 224. So this is what I've been doing. Okay. I don't know if I can give this to you guys in a little bit easier to read format so that you can see it. Okay, yeah. So this is the trade that if you're doing a 112C today, this would be the trade that I would probably be putting on. And I will post this in there. So for those of you still doing these and still following, this would be my trade. And I'm going to put this into trade ideas. So this is the ES112C. Okay, that's what it would look like for today. Why am I, showing that if I'm not going to do it? I mean, I still think it's a great trade. Okay, don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with this trade, in my opinion. Uh, I think I think this will work out just swell. Okay, and I'm okay with uh, the uh, because I got to do a 224, right? So my naked puts are at 6,100. Okay, and it's gonna be about a 2175 is my naked puts. I have four of those, okay, which is going to be about $4,300, okay, in income. Remember, I have a 2x stop, which would be around $8,000, which is about 2% of my account, which is about 480, 470, something right now. And so we would be fine with that. Okay. And it fits my trade, but I wanted to ease up on my risk. Okay. So this is a 600, this adds 600. Okay. So remember, 4350 was the credit on the naked put, and the Vega on this is a minus 667. Okay. Okay, so just keep those in mind. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to ease off a tad on those put debit spreads. It's great to have all of these put debit spreads on, okay? But we're getting so far away from them that they don't do anything on a down day, which I don't expect them to do much of anything, okay? It was slow grind down. These help out with. And then if we sold off hard and we had to roll, I would use or close, I would start closing some of these to offset the cost of closing or stopping out. Or if we slowly ground down, these might turn into a bonus. So what I wanted to do right now is I'm going to take a look at, love this thing here. I hate these 100 wides anymore. I really want 50 wide. That's kind of my thing. Can I get in at the 53 day? Yeah, 53 days. So 53 versus 60 days, because under the 60 days, now I can get 25 wide spreads. If I'm looking at the 60, I can't. I'm 100 wides, which Really, I don't love the 74s, 100 wides. But once I get to this 53 days, which is, again, 6 days, I don't think it's going to kill anything. I get more of the incremental strikes, which I like. And so because of that, I'm going to do an at the money. Why? Well, if I do at the money, and we're going to do, I don't know if we'll do 100 wide. We can start with 100 wide, but I might make it 50. Okay. But my delta on this is much higher, right? So all these put debit spreads, look at this. This is the 5950, 5950, 6000, 5900. Okay, 5750. I mean, these put debit spreads are really low. They're not going to do squat. Right. So that being said, we're going to take a look at this one in here. I thought I looked at the 64 and it didn't give me, it did give me that. So 64 days would also give me that. I will err to the side of slightly shorter. So we'll do the 53. Okay. But yeah, 64 would work perfect too. All right. So we'll do here. Uh, and if I was doing a normal 112, this would be essentially the setup. Okay. Except this is an at the money version, right? Because I moved the put debit spread higher. Okay. So because I've moved that put debit spread higher, I'm taking in a lot less money than I used to, right? Because I was doing a 224. If you remember the 224, okay, I was generating a $35 credit. Well, now this is only a $12 credit. That's not much, right? So there's a couple ways I need to get I still need to get my $3,000, $4,000 in the tail, okay, because that's what I need to live. Right? So I might shrink the put debit spread a bit. And so that being said, now I'm at 1300 in the tail, and really I'm at 1300 in this tail with an at the money 112 right now, which is not bad. Okay, 50 wide. Okay, but it's not enough money for me. I need to make more money, and even at a 2x loss, okay, that's not going to be it's not going to be enough money. Okay, or I can risk more. Okay, so I'm going to increase this, okay, to 3. Okay, I could increase it to 4, but I'm not increasing the put debit spread here. So this is going to generate me a little bit more income on this. So I'm still 50 wide. Okay, I'm going to generate 2,300 versus 3,500. So I am making less income here, but I've also got a much higher, closer trap. I'm willing to do that a bit. Uh, I could also, if I wanted a little bit more income, I could potentially pull this put up a fraction, okay, to give me a little bit more income. It's not doing a whole lot for me, but I want to just be in this neutral spot. If we drop a little bit, I'm going to make 4,800, which is way more than I was making before at roughly 3,500. Okay. Buying power is still going to be similar, okay, but I've got a really high probability trap here. So what have I done? I've given up a little upside to catch a little bit more in here, but now my Vega is 546 versus 667. So my Vega is lower, so I have a lot less risk. My delta here is 0.17. The delta on the 112 that I just went through with you guys was 0.24. So I have a little less delta, which is fine, right? Because it's a little bit more of a neutral trade because of the higher PDS. So a little bit, I'm still delta positive. Okay. I less Vega risk than my normal 112Cs have. And I'm still making decent money up in here. Let's take a quick look at the 64-day version. and see what this one looks like. Where the heck did these things all go? All right. So let's look at the 64-day version, and we'll do another 50 wide here, and we'll go down to about the 7-ish delta. Okay, so we did the 64-day version. This is what it looks like. Okay. How does this change? Well, Vega is higher because I'm taking in a much higher credit for this thing. So, way more income on this particular one. 61.25 on the puts. Uh, yeah. So essentially, yeah, compared to a Strangle or a Jade Lizard on this one, I'm still bullish because the market's bullish, right? We already said ES is bullish, but I did say at the beginning, 112s, Jade Lizards, at the money 112, all good. So I want to make money to the upside on this one. But this one's a little bit more Vega risk for me. It's not really helping me, reduce my Vega a ton. Delta is lower on this trade. So, I mean, it's lowered Vega risk by almost 10% less. Okay. 64 days. I don't know. I kind of am partial to the, so I'm kind of partial to this 53-day version. Okay. So I'm kind of partial to this version, which is a much lower Vega, a little bit lower Delta, still makes decent money. I could move the naked puts up a bit, make a little bit more money on this thing. According to my strategy builder as well, my goal on these, okay, which I was kind of exceeding my goal a bit, which was adding some risk. My goal is really to make around 5,000 a month. Well, this would still give me that overall, but it's a little less credit than I've been getting. But I just like this trade a bit. So this is kind of where I'm sitting right now on this at the money 112. I'm not saying you have to do anything, but I love this trap, and I want to start to nail some trap opportunities in here. So I know I move this put up. I don't even know what delta doesn't really matter, but we're barely at the 0.8 delta. Okay, here it would be still a 0.8 delta 2,500. I'm fine with this. So here's what we're going to do is I'm going to put that one on. But if we wanted to also do something like a Jade Lizard, we'll do the same 53 days. Jade Lizard would be, I would sell a much higher strike, maybe selling that put, and then I would sell a narrow call spread up here. So this would be the Jade Lizard. Okay, so this would be a Jade Lizard. The nice thing about the Jade Lizard is I'm going to make more money up here still. I'm going to make pretty good money. My buying power is significantly lower. Okay, my Vega is even lower on this one. It's a pretty narrow 25 wide. I mean, this is not a bad trade either. I mean, I really like the Jade Lizard. Yeah, it's a Jade Lizard, exactly. It's a Strangle with a protective wing. And if you want, now, this put's much, much, much higher on this put. Okay, so just, I just sold a 6,200 put. This is a 6,650 put. Okay, and even if I moved it down a bit, okay, I'm still making really good money on it. I could double the size, and so I could still make decent money. I'd probably want to get further away. So this is a little bit of a adjusted Jade Lizard uh, on it this way. This is not bad. Not a bad trade. A little bit less in the tail up here, but a lot more if you stay in here. So Jade Lizard's fine. Okay. Well, it's insane for smaller accounts. For me, this is a 222 version. It's twice the version. But I just the 112 I just did was over 20,000 as well. But look, this is a almost $2,000 return on 2100 on 21,000. Yes, the BP is high, but that's a 10% in 53 days. Okay. I could take that all year round. And if it doesn't go up, it stays right here. Okay. This is now a 20% return on buying power. So, but size matters, and I totally understand. Okay. Even if we stripped it down, this is still not bad. If you landed in a trap, you can make 2,200 on 10 grand. That's a 22% trade. Okay. If we stay right here, if we fall hard, we got some problems. If we go higher, by a lot, we don't make as much, but we don't have any risk to the upside. So there's your Jade Lizard. I like the at the money. Okay. It just makes sense for me. And I think the one thing to remember here, okay, on these at the monies is don't get caught up in this tail up here. Okay. I did a 113. This one's a 111. So you could do a 111 version of this as well. Okay. You could do a 112 version of this. Okay. You could do a 113 version of this. Whatever floats your boat, you could do. I think you could also, this is pretty narrow. Oh, these are calls. It wouldn't matter if it was a call or a put. Either one of these would be fine. But taking a look at this thing here. Hang tight, hang tight. Okay, so here's my 113 version. Look at the key is, even though the tail is only $2,400, which is still a good return, 2,400 on 2,200, still a 10% return in the tail. And down here, it's almost 5,000 on that, which is almost a 20-some% return. I'm still getting an awesome return, but look at what happens to this T+0 line as time goes by. Okay, it's lifting. Okay, and watch. But it's lifting up here. So even if we climbed, we would be making more here than expected. And if it climbs more, and even in here, we could still be making close to maybe 3,000 up here instead of 2,400. So your T+0 line is going to lift. And if you're anywhere around this area, you're going to make more than the trap was giving you anyway. So anyway, that's something to consider on it, but there's the 113 that I'm doing on it. All right, we'll see how that pans out, but we did add that today. You know what? Let's take a quick look at this thing too. What would the stop be on a 113 here? So which is the question I'm sure I'm going to get, but nobody mentioned it yet. But what's the stop going to be like? This is still a very bullish trade, right? So at the money, I'm a little less bullish, but I'm still selling a bunch of naked puts, so I'm still bullish. But what would the stop be? Well, typically my stop is going to be a 2x loss on the naked puts. So what are the naked puts in this case? Okay. What are the naked puts in this case? Well, the naked puts here is 3 at the 22, 25 or so. All right, so I'm going to take in a credit of around 3,300. So still a 2x loss on the naked puts would be fine. Okay. Another way to look at it, which is the way we have managed some of these 112s in the past, is I would also stop at the maximum trap size loss, which is $5,000. I could go a little bit more than that for my 2x stop. So I'm going to give this thing a 2x of these. depending on what you do. But you could also put the stop as the maximum trap size would be your stop. Okay. So either one of those will work. In this case, I'm sized well for a 2x loss here. So I'll just do that. All right. So that's going to be my stop. And my gain will be 90% on this thing. If we're up here in the tail, it'll be 90% of the overall credit, which is going to be about 2,400. If we're in the trap, okay, I'm going to be looking for, something closer to probably 70 to 90% of the trap, depending on where we are. Okay, hope that makes sense. Okay, I hope that makes some sense to you, but yeah, I don't want to take this trap off. If we're up here, way up here, fine. Take 90% of the naked puts of the whole trade, 90% of this whole trade, and get out. If we're down in the trap here, then I'm going to be taking probably 75 to 90% of the trap. Okay. Depending on where we are. I mean, if we're way down here and I'm getting a little nervous, then maybe I'll close it, for something else. If we're up in here, give or take, I'm letting this thing go to 90% of the trap. Okay. I want the trap. So I'm gonna let this thing go, kind of like the other at the money trade that we had on. Okay. That we took off last week for like 100 and I don't know, 20%, 30%, whatever it was. Okay. There's that. If price drops this week to 6,500, that's probably going to uh, potentially stop that trade out. Okay, or it's going to get pretty close because volatility that would be a monstrous fall. Okay, if we fell to 6,500 this week, that would be a monstrous fast fall. You're probably going to get stopped out. Your volatility is going to crank up. VIX is going to go from being absolutely dead at 16 here on the VIX. Okay, it's going to crank up to the mid 20s. If we fall to 6,500, that combined is going to stop us out. Okay, maybe. Okay, if we slowly, but I'm not seeing us dropping 500 points this week, but it could happen. Anything can happen. Just be prepared. All right, let's run through some of these other trades in here. We're having a good day today. Let's see on AVGO. Would we do anything? Well, we have $1,270 worth of extrinsic left. Nothing to do. I don't care if this thing's in the money, out of the money, upside down. It doesn't really matter. All I care about is the extrinsic. So it doesn't matter. Won't do anything on AVGO. I'm glad to see this going up. This is a beautiful thing. Okay. We'll come back to BMNU in a minute, which is up. But let's go into our gold trade. Now, gold got $551 of extrinsic left on this thing. We still have a slightly positive delta, 1.74. It's as neutral as you're going to get on this trade. Okay, but that's still, it's only been 5 days. We have 4 days to go on this. I think you could roll this gold because I would take the extrinsic win on this gold trade and I'd probably move it. When we did this trade, bear with me. We took in $3,180. So yeah, this whole cost was extrinsic because we did it at the money. Okay. And so we've captured 83% of the extrinsic, and we have 4 days to go. Our trade plan would say if we get to 75% or so and we have a lot more time left in just a couple days, then I would consider rolling it. I'm not rolling it because it's in the money. That doesn't mean anything to me. What I care about is I've made 83% of my extrinsic already. How much more, do I want to hang on for 4 more days to make 17%? No, I want to make more money. So I want more money. So we're going to roll it. Now, let's take a look at rolling. If we rolled in the same expiration, so we're way down here. if we rolled, I mean, if we're going to roll all the way back up here, it's going to cost us a fortune. Okay, but let's roll. If we rolled for this Friday all the way back up here, I mean, we're going to spend some cash. Okay? So we're going to spend almost, what is it, $17 times 400 shares. So we're going to spend 6,800 to do it, which I personally don't really care about spending that because gold's just going to the moon. But let's prevent the whipsaw a bit. So let's do kind of halfway higher because if gold does reverse itself down a bit, uh, I don't mind this 458. It's kind of halfway uh, or so in here. Certainly going to save us a little bit of money, a couple grand, and I don't mind being in the money. I have no problem being in the money all the time. Okay. So let's roll it to here for Friday. In case we get a whipsaw and gold sells back off, we're going to get paid to be in this trade. So there we did. Oh, wow. What is gold? 468.88. Okay. I always note the exact price when I make my trade, and I'll show you why in a moment here. All right, so gold we have rolled now. That boosted our deltas back up a bit from about one something to about almost seven. So we've got more positive delta on gold. We were already up a boatload on the day anyway because the gold's rocking. All right, strategy. Anything to do here? Nope. Half the extrinsic is still left. We are not in the money. Nothing to do here. We have this naked put. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about NVIDIA later. We'll talk about Palantir later. Let's look at Qs. Okay, nothing to do here. Plenty of extrinsic, nothing to touch. SoFi, plenty of extrinsic, nothing to do here either. SPY, plenty of extrinsic, nothing to do here. So there's nothing else to be done here. We can go back to sleep. Okay, go have a beer, take a break. For me, I'm probably gonna have to go back out and snow blow because I thought the snow was supposed to be done and it's still coming down lightly out there. Michael, does it make some sense to take some time off of the covered call and let the leaps run? You can. It's not the strategy here, but it doesn't mean you can't do whatever you want to. Yeah, it's just getting extended for me now on gold, which means I'm gonna keep selling as close to at the money. And if we keep going in the money, that's fine. But I'm still making a lot. I mean, I'm up a boatload, and we're going to show you how much we're up in a minute. So you can do in my poor man's covered calls. Yeah, I'm going to uh, extend those out a little bit and roll up, and we can take a look at those trades in a bit. All right, let's take a look at the BMNU. What was this trade? So this is one of these trades where I sold a pretty far out in time set of puts. And those puts are pretty much break even. I sold them at 3. If BMNU, which is the 2x version of BMNR, okay, so this is the steroid version of steroids. So it's it's the crazier version, right? But BMNU, okay, I sold these, but I sold the 3 strike. We're at 4.62. This thing's going to have to go down severely to get there. Doesn't mean it can't, okay, because BitMine is definitely a volatile, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are volatile. But I buy this thing at 3 all day long, okay? Because I'm just waiting for crypto to make its move, okay? And it's just languishing now, and that's fine, okay? So I'm going to, in the meantime, I'm going to be selling calls against it. All right, so I'm selling calls against it, but I'm selling the 8, which is way out of the money, but they don't cost me anything, right? And my delta on these was, let's look at this BMNU. Let's go out here. All right, so uh, this was a, 0.15 delta, and I did 3,000 shares of it. Okay, so 3,000 shares of these is quite a bit. So 30 contracts. Okay, so 30 contracts of this thing. The delta is 456. I have pretty long deltas, right? When you sell naked puts out in time and I sell 3,000 shares worth or 30 contracts worth, okay, I've got pretty long deltas here. 452. But I'm selling some out of the money covered calls. Okay, now these out of the money covered calls that I sold, okay, is 265 delta. Okay, remember we are 462 because I only sold half the quantity. So I'm keeping my deltas long because I'm expecting at some point the bullish move. If I wanted to be more neutral, I could have just made this a strangle, right? So it would be a little bit of an off, a calendarized strangle because these are only 25 days out and these were 235 days out. So it's like a calendarized strangle. But these cost me no buying power, okay, to do because I already have, you can't lose on both ends. So I already have the shares, so I can't lose both ways. So right now, this trades up 3%, okay, with BMNU down nearly a percent on it. Okay, why? Well, because I've sold calls, so that I'm going to generate cash on these calls. So this is how I'm managing these trades with some delta. Let's look at the same thing on NVIDIA. All right, so on NVIDIA here, and I'm going to give you guys this week kind of my strategy template on these, but NVIDIA, I did the same thing. Okay, I went way out. Okay, well, I didn't go way out in these, so not as great of an example, but I went out to 39 days. I sold the 160s on NVIDIA. Okay. I should have gone longer. I didn't. My straight, I really want to be 60 to 90, closer to 90 days on these. But I thought the 160 on NVIDIA was a pretty good level for me to take a look at. So the 160 on NVIDIA, uh, when it comes down to it, that 160 is below the 38.2 fib and below the 200-day moving average. I'm not saying I would love to own it here because I hate owning stocks, okay? But this is not a bad spot to own NVIDIA, okay? It's a level that it hasn't seen for a long, long time, and it's below the 200-day moving average, right? So I sold those. Okay, they're down a little bit. I'm going to let them breathe for a couple days. They've been on for only 3 days. I'm going to let these breathe. This is a bad example one, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add calls out of the money, and because let's at least think. All right. Well, let's just say I do the 195s. And how many contracts do I have? I have 5 contracts. Okay. So I could be, so let's say I sell 3 contracts up here. Okay. Really not costing me much of anything from a buying power standpoint because I already sold the long part. So I'm turning this into essentially a strangle on this one. I can't really show that here. Hang on. So if I did this, these are 16 delta. I'm going to reduce my deltas by 48, but my long deltas here, okay, I own 5 at 14, so these are going to be closer to like 80 delta, okay, 70 delta. So 70 delta here. If I sold the calls, they're not really covered. I sold these out of the money calls against it and just 3 contracts. It's only 48. I'm still 30 deltas long, which is giving me great upside potential in NVIDIA, which I'm bullish to the upside. And NVIDIA is bullish right now. 8's above the 21. So everything's rising. Everything looks good. If NVIDIA starts to sell off, then I'm going to start to sell these calls to offset what's happening and the increase in delta from the puts, okay, as it drops, and then these will help me offset that those losses. Okay, so I will be selling calls against my puts. Palantir is a better example. Let's look at Palantir here. Palantir, I still didn't like this one. I went out 365 days. I went all the way down to 80 delta. Okay, I have small positions on this. 80, oh, not 80 delta, 80 strike on Palantir. Okay, 80 strike on Palantir is a long way down from here. Okay, it doesn't even fit on the chart. The last time we were at 80 on Palantir was April of last year, when we briefly tagged it, and then we shot up to 187. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with Palantir here. Now, Palantir is in a downtrend. I'm going to let this breathe for a couple of days, okay? Because I'm waiting to see if we get any kind of a bounce. We haven't. These are, they're down 25 whole dollars today. They're not going to move much on Palantir. But what I will do is I will look to sell. I'm going to wait till after earnings. Okay, I'll be looking to sell calls at a lesser amount. Okay, so I hope this makes some sense with what I'm doing. And one of the stocks that I really liked was anything that was close to the 200 day, which Broadcom was close to the 200 day. All right, I'm doing the same thing in strategy. Strategy is a little bit better trade. Strategy, I went out 81, which is really the preferred method. Okay, I sold the 110 strike, okay, on strategy. I got 7 contracts. If strategies, it's down a little today. These are down a little bit. If strategy looks like, the trend is going to continue to head lower, we're right at a support level. So I want to give this thing a little bit of breathing room. So I got to wait a couple days on it. But I'm going to take these deltas that we have on strategy, and I'm going to start selling out of the money calls against it at lower delta, but I'm going to do half the contracts. So instead of 7, maybe I'll do 4. Maybe I could do 5. Let's say I do like 4. I'll take in, okay, $1,300 on this trade. This trade, when I put this on, only cost me $2,400. Okay, but I can take in $1,300 by selling some calls and turning that into a calendarized strangle, and I'll manage the trade by adding these shorter term calls, taking them off, but I don't really want to get assigned on them. So I don't mind going out of the money. Heck, you could go to the 180s here. Okay, sell 4 of these for $780. Okay, so 175s for 1,096. Okay, so I can make $1,000 a week selling these calls, which is offsetting any drops that I'm going to get on these. Should probably pay this off anyway, these 7, okay, because I only paid like $2,900 for them. Okay. The nice thing here, okay, is I still have the 110 put. If we drop and these lose a little temporarily, I'm going to be making money on the calls while I wait. Okay, and if we never get to 110, okay, I'm going to end up with a 100% profit on these things. Actually, a little bit more than that based on margin, but I'll take these things off for a win. If I get to maybe a 50% win, then maybe I will convert this into actually a normal strangle. At 50%, I'll roll them up a bit. Why? Because the market will have risen, okay, and that thing's going to get to a lower and lower and lower delta. At some point, maybe I'll take 50%, roll them up, turn it into a full strangle, because at that point, maybe we're getting overextended, so I can sell the calls at that point. I hope this makes sense. There's a lot of rules to this, but it's not that difficult. But it is active management of naked puts. Active management of naked puts. And if we're rising, I might do nothing. If we're rising fast. If we're slowly rising, I might sell some out of the money calls. If we're dropping fast, I might be selling at the money or in the money calls. If we're dropping a bit, I might just be selling standard out of the money calls. Okay. I'm just using the calls to even out the deltas and to give me gains while I hold puts on stocks that I like. Can the 113 be used as for stocks as well? It can. Okay. One stock that I really like right here is um, Vertiv. Remember, I said I like Vert as it. So if I was doing Vertiv, I would be looking at this 11 days. I would probably look at, I'd be looking at this as a 112. I don't know if you're talking about Michael or who was that, GR. Are you talking about an at the money 113 or just a regular 113? But if I'm doing Vertiv, okay, let's see, can we get this to look decent? All right, I'm taking in $74 on 1283. Okay, this is a 6% return. Okay, so if Vertiv, which is bullish right now and looks great, okay, before earnings, if Vertiv just hangs out up here, okay, I make pretty good money. Okay? I'd probably do something, size-wise for me, it'd be like close to $1,000 on it. Okay, and I know that takes a lot of BP, but you size it for you. Okay? There's that. Okay. Again, is it a an at the money 113 or you're talking just a standard 113? But if you, let's say you wanted to do instead of a 112 like this one, okay, you could always, well, if I go to a 224, okay, well, 19,000 is too much buying power. I can't handle that. Okay. Um, oops. Let's go back to, I'm going to go back to zeros. Okay. So if 1,200 bucks is great, but I can't handle 2,500, then an option for you would be to increase that to a 113. Now, on this 113 on Vertiv, which I do like it, okay, what would I be making now at 1,000 bucks? Well, 1,000 bucks now I'm using 15 grand in BP, but I'm going to make 1,100, so 1,120 using 15,869. Okay. Now I'm making 7%. So 7% with a 113 versus, not that it matters, versus, so 7%, 7.1% with a 113 versus 5.8% here. So yeah, you're going to make more money with a 113. I mean, there's no reason you can't do this with a 113. You can definitely make more money uh, on it. It just adds more risk. But if you don't think the trap is as likely, then go with a 113. Okay, I can go with a 113. These are goofy numbers. Okay. So there's a 113. If you don't think the trap is as likely on a 113 or on a 112, then go to a 113. There's no rules here, guys. You could do a 111 if you have some less buying power and it sets up right. You could go to a 112. And no one says you have to do a 112 all the time. You could do a 113. You could do a 225. You got to come up with what's your take on the stock or the asset that you're doing this with. If Vertiv, when I'm looking at it, well, what do I think it's going to do? Okay. What do I think Vertiv's going to do right now? Well, it looks like a nice breakout to the upside on Vertiv, and it looks like it's making a move. Okay. You could just do a naked put too. I don't like to do a naked put when we're this far away from the 50 or the 21. But you could do it. I would like a little bit of a pullback, but you could still do that. The 112, I think, works well if you don't get the pullback because you could actually make more if it starts to come down here. Would you like to have, you know, the 155 is not a bad spot on Vertiv. Okay, that's technically support. Okay? And you're going to have to break all kinds of things to get here before earnings. I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, I like this trade a lot. I don't mind the 113 either here. So I could do this trade. I have plenty of buying power. 40, I'm at 44% buying power. I have plenty of buying power. Yeah, I want to make 1,100 bucks in the next 2 weeks if Vertiv at least hangs where it is or moves higher. Eh, not bad. Yeah, we'll do it. All right. So why not, right? So we'll see what happens on Vertiv. I like that. So I did a 113 for you. Why? Why not? We'll watch what it's doing. Yeah, it'd be the same exits that I talked about before. Would be an exit at a 2x loss, or I would exit at the trap maximum trap size. So 2x loss here would be fine. Right? So it's 1,500 is my cost. Okay, so 1,584 is my cost. So 2x loss would be $3,000 loss. $3,000 loss on this would be 3,000 divided, 3,000 divided by a $480,000 account. So that's 0.6% of my portfolio. So, hey, I'll take this trade. All right. Hey, we're going long. We're an hour and a half in. This is a new record one, pretty long, but we could stay on all day. It's just snowing out, nothing to do. Uh, there were some questions earlier. So if we look at the Lazy Trader account, I can't remember what the questions were from Yvonne and Wendy, I think. Where did I post a Palladium trade? So here's the Palladium trade. This thing's up a nice 22% in 3 days. I'll take that, right? Anybody would. So there's my Palladium trade in there. And then, so Wendy, or Yvonne, that was for you. Wendy, I already rolled a gold income poor man covered call. And then this one's a gold standard poor man's covered call. It's still positive delta. I could roll it. I'm probably going to hold off in here on some things. Also, I believe we got distributions here. So we just took in $3,200 between our NEOS funds. So we made a nice 3,200 bucks on Friday. So I got to book those in. Those were after the bell on Friday. Okay, that nothing to do in here, I don't think. I mean, nothing looks crazy, nothing looks bad. Okay, nothing to do on these. Too many trades in here. Everything looks good. Nothing needs to be rolled. Nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing to do. Sorry, I know this may be boring. Nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing. So we're in good shape. Even TLT is doing fine. Okay, it's up nicely today. So nice big day for TLT on this move. Yeah, we're in the money now, but we have plenty of extrinsic, so nothing to do on this poor man's covered call for now. All right, that's it for today. I don't know if there's anything else I can cover. I think I've covered a lot of stuff with you guys. With an ES ATM trap, if the market falls tomorrow into the trap, does it become immediately profitable? No, it's going to need some time. It's going to need some time. Okay. If it's at the money, it depends if if it falls like 10 bucks into the trap, then yes, it's going to be immediately profitable. If it falls heavy into the middle of the trap, it's going to be a problem. Okay, so you need time to go by. Oh, yes, why did I write down the price of gold? Let's go through this. This will be like the last thing I'll cover. But let's talk about why it's important to track your extrinsic a little bit. So let's take a look at gold here. All right, so here's our gold trade. And we got to enter our data here. And what I want to do is, give me a second. I know this is going long, but hang in there, guys. All right, so why? Why do I care about my extrinsic? All right, so I did make a gold trade today, right? Okay, the gold trade. So I bought it back for 25. So we're gonna go down here and look, we're up 2,700, $27,000 is our net income. 27,000 is our net income. Um, Return on this trade is 353%. The adjusted would be, if you put this money back into the cost basis, how are you looking at it? So overall, we're still up 81% on gold. We went through that the other day with somebody. All right, so let's put in the fact that we closed this today for 25.26. Okay. What was the extrinsic? Okay, this is the closing extrinsic. So how do you determine your closing extrinsic? Right. So this 25.26, that was a 445 call, right? So it was a 445 call that I had to close. But we were at 468.88. And that's why I wrote the price down. Okay. So a 445 call when I closed it, and the price was 468.88. So how much extrinsic was left in this? How much extrinsic was left? Who can help me with that? Right. So who can tell me if I bought back the 445 call and when I wrote it down, gold was at 468.88, how much extrinsic was left? Okay. So 445, if you subtract that from the 468.88, that means there was $23.88 in there. Yes. All right. So 23.88. And I closed this for 25.26. Okay. Which means, okay, there was $1.38 of extrinsic left. Okay, $1.38 of extrinsic left. And I have on gold, we're doing 200 shares of these things. Yeah, 200 shares. So $1.38 times, I'm sorry, it's 400 shares. So 552 was left. So that's why, is because I wanted to know how much extrinsic was left. Right. So when we entered the new one, so stay with me, let's keep doing math here because it's important for you guys to understand extrinsic and intrinsic. Today, I sold the new gold for 1452, right? But I sold the 458 call. Okay. And we were at 468.88. So if I sold the 458 call and we're at 468.88, I'm in the money $10.68. Okay. But I sold this for 14.52, which means I took in $3.84 of extrinsic times the 400. So I took in $1,536 of extrinsic. So I was in the money when I sold this. Okay. I was in the money because I sold the 458 and we were at 460. I was almost $10.88 in the money. So you got to take the $10.60, or I'm sorry, the $10.88 subtracted from what I sold this for, and that tells me how much extrinsic there was when I triggered this trade. Okay. There you go. And then we would update this because now we're at 67,011. Okay. So we dropped a bit on this trade today. So we picked up some value, okay, but we had to buy a bunch back, okay, of this. So we did drop a little bit on this, okay, because we rocketed way past. Okay? But we still made, we're still making money, okay, overall. Okay? And we still made that extrinsic. So 67, 0 to 1. Yep. So that hopefully makes sense for everybody today. All right, that's a lot. Please post a Palantir trade. I'm pretty sure I did. Let's look real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Didn't post it? Hmm, that doesn't seem right. You may be right, though. I didn't even put it on. Oh, this is the wrong tracker. Yeah, I didn't even put it here either. Very strange. Very strange. I swear I did it. All right. Well, I will have to post that one for you today. So I will get that one up. All right. I will post that trade and we'll get it up there. I know I mentioned it. I can't believe I didn't post it. So I will get that up today. All right. That's it for today. That was a long session. We're almost at 2 hours today, but good stuff, I think. And we'll let you guys go. Enjoy a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.